Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today I have a fun video for you. I hope it will be fun anyway. I'm going to be reading Octopus books for 1 week. Today is the 23rd of June. It's a Monday, and we have exactly 1 week left of the month. This video needs to come out next Monday, and so I'm kind of on a time crunch. But I think it's doable. The only problem is I am reading other books right now still. I have an audiobook that I started while I was doing chores that I need to finish. There's like 7 hours left of that. I'm tandem reading Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn in the Throne of Glass series. I'm about 200 pages left in each book, so about 400 pages total with that, so I would like to finish that up this week. I'm reading a book with my husband, the newest Nora Roberts release, so I'm still working on that, and I'm also working on 2 more books in a trilogy that I just wanted to binge read. Those are super easy. The Nora Roberts books, we're reading a couple chapters right at bed, so that's not a huge deal. The trilogy I'm reading is young adult, so it's reading really, really fast. And I'll probably just read that at bedtime each night and hopefully can finish that out through the week. And then Throne of Glass, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the Octopus books during the day, then switch over to the Throne of Glass books, and then at bed read the other 2 books. But I also have some books I would really like to squeeze in. So I'm being delusional, I know I am, but at the very least I want to finish up the books I have going on and read these Octopus books, and we'll see if I have any time at the end of the week for the other books I still want to get to. So like I said, I do have 4 books. I'm planning on reading all day today. I'm not planning on doing any chores or anything like that. We did dishes already last night, so those I don't have to worry about those today. And any other chores I'm not going to worry about. I have my dentist appointment tomorrow for my cleaning, and that always kind of stresses me out. And then I also still need to go by the post office and see if our address change is in effect yet, so I can get that all wrapped up. They said to wait about a month, and it's been a little over that, so I'm going to stop in there, see what's happening with that. So I'm kind of stressed. So I was like, you know what? I just want to read today. I'm not going to worry about chores. And then we're also supposed to get rain tomorrow and Wednesday. We were supposed to originally get rain for 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now it's dropped down to just Tuesday and Wednesday, and the percentage has dropped down. But I still think we might get something. So that will be really nice. But tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to be going into town. If the address change isn't in effect, then I'm going to be working on changing everything. So I'm not sure how much reading I'm going to get into tomorrow, so I want to read as much as I can today. And I might actually just focus this whole day on these books, and see how much I can get. So we got 4 books. 2 are nonfiction and 2 are fiction, and they're all kind of very different. So this one I'm probably going to read last because I want to see, get a good idea of the octopus, and then read this one. So this one will be very last, and that's Weird is Beautiful, The Wisdom of Octopuses, and this is by Liv Marvin, I want to say. Liv Marvin, yeah. She says Liv Marvin asserts the moral right to be identified as the author of this work. So her name's not actually on the cover or on the cover page or anything like that. And this just has little snippets. You can take a quiz to see, how octopus you are or whatever. And then it just has little snippets in here. So it's going to be really easy. So I'm excited. I got this with a Pango order. I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and just added it on. And so yeah, this is probably going to be the last book of this vlog because, like I said, I want to kind of get a better idea. And then we have, this one is what I'm going to start with today because I want to kind of have that nonfiction information on the octopus before I go into the fiction book, so I know, how good they captured them. And that's The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery, a surprising exploration into the wonder of consciousness. And so, yeah, this is where I'm going to start. This one, I know, yeah, it's not very long because, like, the index is on page 255. So, and then, of course, we have the bibliography, acknowledgments. So 244 pages with the postscript. And so, yeah, this one should be quick. And it has pictures. I didn't know that. We love pictures. So this is where I'm going to start. And this one just says, popular naturalist Cy Montgomery explores the emotional and physical world of the octopus, the remarkable connections it makes with people, and the vibrant community that arises around this complex, intelligent, and spirited creature. Practicing true immersion journalism from New England aquarium tanks to the reefs of French Polynesia and the Gulf of Mexico, Montgomery befriends individual octopuses with strikingly different personalities. Gentle Athena, assertive Octavia, curious Callie, and joyful Karma, who show their cleverness in myriad ways, escaping enclosures, creative trickery to get food, and jetting water to bounce balls. So I'm excited about this one. So this is going to be where we start. Then I think I'm going to go this one next because it's actually on my official TBR, and that's The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Nayler. This is like sci-fi mystery thriller type book. And so this should be fun. Says rumors begin to spread of a dangerous species of hyper-intelligent octopus that may have developed its own language and culture. The marine biologist Dr. Ha Guyan, who has spent her life researching cephalopod intelligence, will do anything for the chance to study them. The Transitional Tech Corp Dynama has sealed off the remote Condio archipelago, where the octopuses were discovered from the rest of the world. Dr. Guyan travels to the island to join Dynama's team, a battle-scarred security agent and the world's first android. The octopuses hold the key to unprecedented breakthroughs in extra-human intelligence. The stakes are high. There are vast fortunes to be made by whoever can take advantage of the octopus's advancement. And as Dr. Guyan struggles to communicate with the newly discovered species, forces larger than Dynama close in to seize the octopuses for themselves. But no one has yet asked the octopuses what they think or what they might do about it. A near-future thriller about the nature of consciousness, Ray Nayler's The Mountain and the Sea is a dazzling literary debut and a mind-blowing dive into the treasure and wreckage of humankind's legacy. So I'm excited to give this one a try. It's a little bit chunkier. It's 452 pages, so hopefully it won't take me too long to read, but that will be the next book. And then after that, this is the one I'm most excited about. This is the whole reason I'm doing this vlog, because I found this at a thrift store, which we love, and I wanted to read it for a while now. And so when I found it, I was like, I want to read it sooner rather than later. So we are going to be reading Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This is like a mystery, but like literary also. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see. I thought it was more literary, but on Goodreads, I'm pretty sure it said it was a mystery. This one's 350 pages, but the text is pretty big, so hopefully it will be fast too. It says, after Tova Sullivan's husband died, she began working the night shift at the Sowell Bay Aquarium, mopping floors and tidying up. Keeping busy has always helped her cope, which she's been doing since her 18-year-old son, Eric, mysteriously vanished on a boat in Puget Sound over 30 years ago. Tova becomes acquainted with the curmudgeonly Marcellus, a giant Pacific octopus living at the aquarium. Marcellus knows more than anyone can imagine, but wouldn't dream of lifting one of his 8 arms for his human captors, until he forms a remarkable friendship with Tova. Ever the detective, Marcellus deduces what happened the night Tova's son disappeared, and now Marcellus must use every trick in his old invertebrate body can muster to unearth the truth for her before it's too late. It's another debut novel, so we got two debuts here. And so yeah, I think this is gonna be a really fun week, spending it with these books. And so I'm gonna go get tucked in, find something to eat for breakfast, and I'm gonna dive in to the wonderful world of the octopus. So I will be back when I have an update on the soul of an octopus, and we'll just kind of go from there. Okay, so I finished The Soul of an Octopus by Montgomery. It is now Wednesday, August 25th, almost noon. I didn't feel the greatest this morning, so I finished this up and kind of dozed off here and there while I did. I had kind of a lay in bed because I didn't feel the greatest. Of course, yesterday I had my dentist appointment and I had to get an update on the address, which that was frustrating. So I just really wasn't in the mood to read, so I didn't even read. I read a little bit at the dentist, but they're always so quick, they get you right in. And I didn't really read any of it until like bedtime. So I read 124 pages the first day, and that left me with 120 pages left. But yeah, like I said, I just after yesterday, the address, they gave me completely different answers. They didn't have a clue what was going on because I was told I had to do an address change to make sure I got, any mail that kind of slipped through the cracks. And she's like, oh no, they just do it automatically. And I'm like, okay, but the other two people I talked to both said I needed to do an address change. So what is it? She's asking the other lady, neither one really knows what's going on. And I was like, come on, like, just give me answers. I just want answers. Like, it's annoying enough having to change my address anyway, but at least give me clear answers. And so I still don't know what's going on. We got a piece of mail yesterday that they had written just the numbers of the new address. So, like, I'm like, okay, like, I'm so confused. So, I don't know. So, I was just kind of grumpy and stressed, and then I didn't feel good this morning. So, but I did finish this. This one, I'm going with 3 stars because the parts about the octopus I liked. I did not like the writing style of this author. She quotes a lot of people. It was more prevalent in the beginning than the end, but even in the end, she's like, still doing it, which I know, like nonfiction, they'll do that, but it was a lot. And some of it didn't really even relate to octopus. She just would be like, oh, this reminds me of this quote or whatever. It had nothing to do with an octopus. Like, I was fine with the quotes where it was like about octopus, But in this case, it was like there was several where it was just, oh, this reminded her of something, and she'd go off. And she went off on a lot of tangents. Again, some of them had nothing to do with an octopus or octopuses. I did learn though, because right in the beginning, because I was a little confused, like, is it octopi? And it's not. It is octopuses. So, because it says, she knew little about it, but the correct plural is not octopi, as I had always believed. Turns out you can't put a Latin ending I on a word derived from Greek, such as octopus. So, I didn't know that. So that was something I did learn. But yeah, it was just like, I really enjoyed the parts where she was focused on the octopuses or other sea creatures. Like, you did learn a little bit about other sea creatures in there as well. But the writing style where, she would just go off on side tangents that had nothing to do with the thing. It really lacked focus there. And she also threw a lot of names at you. It's like, we don't need to know every person you're interacting with, okay? Like, some of them, like the aquarium workers and volunteers, were throughout the story. But others, it's like, we really did not need to get that person's whole life story, because she would tell, their name and then go on like a little blurb about them. And I'm like, we don't need to know about every person. Like, we really don't. So that really slowed it down for me. So even though it was a short book, it felt like I was slogging through it. And part of that was my mental state as well. But it was a rough read. I did not enjoy the writing style, but I really enjoyed the octopus. Like, there's different octopuses in the aquarium where she's observing and interacting with, and then she learns how to scuba dive, and then she's going out in the wild. And so the last little part was her like going out and finding wild octopuses. So yeah, that part was interesting. I learned stuff I did not know. I didn't really actually know a whole lot about octopuses, if I'm being honest. Like, I think they're fascinating, but I didn't know like a lot about them, how they taste through their little suckers, like, and each one has like is very intelligent. Like, I knew octopuses were very intelligent, but like their suckers, like, and their arms and such, have kind of their own intelligences as well, which I didn't know, and that was kind of interesting. And yeah, so I enjoyed learning more about octopuses, but I did not like the writing style. So I gave that a 3-star. I'm going to go ahead and find something to eat because I haven't eaten yet today. I'm making my coffee right now, so I'll have that, even though it's a little later. And yeah, I'm just going to tuck in. I decided you know what? That's kind of the perks, like, of just being at home. I don't always have to do chores if I'm not feeling good. So I'm going to have another day for your chores. Like, there's nothing really pressing or anything like that. I do need to do my husband's laundry because he's out of work shirts, but he has other shirts that he can wear, so it's not a huge deal. So I think I'm just going to take another day and just kind of try to relax a little bit, since I don't feel good and yesterday was stressful, and just tuck in to the next book, which I'm going to read The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Nayler next. So hopefully that one will pull me right in, and be very engaging, and I can fly through it because that's also the thickest book on the list. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will be back with you when I have an update. All right, it is the morning of Friday the 27th, and I have finished The Mountain and the Sea. I read the last 60 pages or so of this morning. I was trying to finish it last night, but I was just so sleepy. So yeah, I finished the last 60 pages this morning, roughly around there anyway. And this one was kind of a journey. I almost DNF'd this in the beginning. It is very sci-fi as far as like different lingo, terms for the different things in this world. It is very culturally different. It takes place on an island off Vietnam. There's 2 characters that I really struggled with their names. One was a Mongolian name, and I never figured out how to pronounce it. I looked it up and everything, and I just ended up calling this character Altseg because that was the first part of the name and the last part of the name. And so in my brain, when I'm reading, I hear the words in my head and I read every word. Like, I don't skim. And so shortening that really kind of bugged me. And then there's the one doctor that is kind of like the founder of Dianima. Hers, I believe it's an Icelandic last name. And I really struggled with that one too. But she wasn't very prevalent in the story itself, not until the end. But in the beginning of each chapter, the doctor had written a book, and then one of our main characters had written a book, and so there's excerpts from the books at the start of each chapter. And so I kind of hold it up. But that is the doctor's name over here, and yeah, I really struggled with that. I'm still not entirely sure how to pronounce it. I was pronouncing it Minervu.tier is how I was pronouncing it, but those 2 names in particular are rough, especially the Altseg name. I'm so sorry, I'm not even going to try it. Like I said, it's Mongolian, and I love that you have different names from different cultures and such, but it was hard. And I was like, 1, give me a pronunciation guide or something. 2, maybe do a nickname for that character. I don't know, but it was a struggle in the beginning between some of the names and then the lingo and such. And there's a lot of like, what is it called when it's just like the letters? I don't remember. But anyway, a lot of just like the letters of whatever the full name was. And so I struggled with it in the beginning, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And also the author does not introduce you to the characters. You're just kind of plopped into the story and you figure it out as you go along. And I struggled with that as well. Like, I want to know my characters. And so I just kind of had to trust the process. And I'm glad I did, because I ended up really loving this. I'm going to give it 4 stars. It was a bit over my head at points. I struggled in the beginning. So I think 4 stars is where I'm landing with it, even though I ended up really enjoying it. And the ending wasn't all that satisfying either. Like, I don't really feel like it wrapped up anything. And so that also kind of drops it down as well. So basically, you are following 3 different main people. You get some other point of views thrown in, but basically you have this island, and Dianima purchased the island and gave money to all the inhabitants to basically leave, like, get out of here. And Dianima is like AI technology, essentially, and they created like an android, but more like it really, they mapped human connectomes, I want to say what they're calling it. They mapped those and they created this android that was more, though, like it could actually think. It was very human-like. And so that caused a big uproar. They started getting targeted, like terrorists and such. And so they end up sending this android to this island. There's a security person on this island as well. That's the one that has the Mongolian name. And then we get our scientist who comes because there's these octopus, and they're very intelligent. They have a language and such. And so that was really interesting. And so you have Ha is our doctor, and I was pronouncing her name wrong. Like, to me, it reads Guyan, but when I looked, it said the anglicized version is Wen, which doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, but she's our main doctor, Dr. Ha, I'm just going to call her so I don't butcher the pronunciation more than I already have. But she's our main character, I would say. And so we're following her. She comes onto this island. There's Altseg, who is our, it's ALTANTSETSEG is how it's written. And so, like I said, I just shortened it to Altseg. And so you have her. She's our security person. She maintains the perimeter. She's really good at, like, controlling multiple drones and such at the same time. And so you have her, and then you have Evrim, which is our android, basically. And so Evrim and the doctor are studying the octopuses, and then Altseg is guarding, making sure no ships come in. Because basically in this world, like, we've overfished the oceans. And so you have these AI ships, and that's their one purpose, is just to fish and fish. And so, but the oceans are overfished. It's hard to get fish. And so they are trying to infiltrate this island because there's still fish there because it's being protected. And so you have them, and they're following the octopus and trying to figure out their language, and, like, they're living in a communal group, which most octopuses don't, and all that. And then you have a character who is on one of the ships that's AI controlled, and they're slaves, though. Like, they're run by slaves, and it has talk about, like, they used to use robot, but because of the salt water and such, like, they were constantly breaking down. So it's cheaper just to get slaves and then hire guards to watch the slaves. So you're following one of those characters' point of view, and then you're following another one who's like a hacker, and he's been hired mysteriously to hack into something. And with that one, there's, like, it's called an abglans, and it's basically obscures the person's face. And so the other point of views we are getting are interactions with this person with the obscured face from different people that were from the island. And then we end up with Rustum, and he is a hacker, and he's been hired to hack into something, but he doesn't really know what or what's going on. He has to figure it out. And so that was really interesting, and there's a lot of conversation, and it's really interesting because in today's world with AI, you know, and it's kind of like taking over as far as like you don't know if somebody's actually creating it or it's created by AI and such. And so it's kind of an interesting conversation around there. And then you have the octopuses, and so it's parallel, like it's basically because they're so different from us, you know, they're very alien to us. And so it's like this alien life force, but on Earth in the water. And so they're trying to figure out, you know, and they don't follow the patterns that we know from octopuses. They're very highly intelligent. They live in communal groups. They have writing. They have a language, and they have writing as well. And they're using tools and such. So it's really kind of interesting, like the different dynamics and how they all come together. And so, yeah, we're just kind of following along these different characters. And like I said, the ending wasn't very satisfying. And so it kind of was just like, okay, like you never really get an answer. But it was very, very interesting, and I had a good time with it. It's really going to stick with me, I think. And I'm glad I did read The Soul of an Octopus, because this author actually referenced in the acknowledgments and such. He's like, you know, these are places I got my inspiration from and such. And this was one of the books. And it was very interesting because you could see like the things that the octopus were doing and such. I was like, oh yeah, that's true, because it was in this book that I just read. That's nonfiction. So that was really kind of interesting. And I'm really glad I did read that nonfiction first. So yeah, I think this is a fun one. It really is interesting, and there's a lot of like depth and like conversation there, but it is, you kind of just got to trust the process and go with it in the beginning. And you don't really get an ending with it. So I will say that, but I'm giving it 4 stars because I did have a good time once I kind of got into it and figured stuff out. I had a really good time. And there's like these things called 0.5s, and they're basically for people to have a relationship, but it's all basically one-sided. So it's all validating for them, and they don't have to put the effort back to validate the other person. And they, again, took, you know, mapped a human brain and how it works for these 0.5s, and then they're like a relationship, but you don't have to put the effort in, and you get all the validation from it. So that was kind of interesting as well. But yeah, I had a good time with that. So I'm gonna go. It's Friday, so I'm planning on reading as much as I can today. And I'm just going to do laundry today and then just read. And on my plan, I probably won't jump back on until after I finish Remarkably Bright Creatures and Weird is Beautiful. Because Weird is Beautiful is so small, and it's just going to be really quick and easy. So I don't know when that will be. I'm hoping I can read a lot today. I hope my mind will just focus. But there's also all the TBR game videos are coming out, which are my favorite. So I'm going to be watching those as I read, which is what I typically do. But of course, sometimes I tune in a little bit more to those than reading. I always have something going on in the background. Like I cannot read and not have something going on in the background. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that. I made enchiladas last night, which are one of my favorites, and I'm not a big leftover person, but I love enchiladas leftover. They are so much better the next day, and I'm excited to do that. We haven't had enchiladas in a while, and it's one of my favorite things that my mom used to make in my childhood, and so I love making them, and then we eat them for days because I make a whole big old pan. And my husband likes red. I like green. So, and I can't have cheese, and he obviously wants cheese. So I make 2 pans. We each have our own pan. And so, you know, it's a big pan for one person. And so we just eat it for days, and it's so yummy. And I make the Spanish rice to go with it. And so I'm really looking forward. It's probably about 11 right now, and I haven't eaten yet today. So I'm going to get myself a plate of yummy enchiladas and then settle in to read. And I will be back to wrap up this video and give you my thoughts on Remarkably Bright Creatures and Weird is Beautiful. Okay, so it is Sunday evening, about 7:30, the 29th. Of course, this video is supposed to come out tomorrow. And I did manage to finish reading Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelton. And with Weird is Beautiful, The Wisdom of Octopuses by Liz Marvin. So I did finish both of these. I can get rid of that bookmark. Friday, I've ended up reading about 74 pages of this on Friday. I read a little bit throughout the day. I was just kind of feeling restless. So I ended up going down to the big city and meeting up with my husband. And we went, we went to the thrift store, and then we had dinner. And we ended up going to see a movie. We saw the Karate Kid movie. We were kind of torn. We originally wanted it to go see the Karate Kid movie. We used to, when we were dating, go to the movies all the time. And then after COVID, we just haven't been. And we were talking about it, and he's like, I really like to go see. And then when we saw the Karate Kid movie thing, I was like, well, we'll go see that. And just kind of didn't work out. And so yeah, I was like, well, let's see a movie. And we were kind of torn between How to Train Your Dragon, the live action one of that, the John Wick ballerina movie, or Karate Kids. But we decided we kind of wanted a quieter experience. And of course, How to Train Your Dragon, there was already pretty full, and we would have to sit like on seats that we don't like. So we were like, no on that one. And John Wick was looking like wasn't that full, but all the good seats were taken. So it's like, you know what? Let's just go see our original plan. Let's go see Karate Kid Legends. And so we went and saw that, which was a lot of fun. And it was just us and one other like group of 4. So the theater was like empty. It was really, really nice. But anyway, my point is I didn't read a whole lot of this on Friday because of that. And then yesterday I chose to play World of Warcraft with my husband instead of reading. And so I read a little bit more. Ended up reading about 112 pages last night. And then this morning I was playing World of Warcraft as well. And I just read this a couple times, like as I was taking breaks here and there. And then we had my family book club discussion at 1. And so then I played a little bit more, and then decided I just want to read for a little while. My tummy was feeling a little bit upset, so I just kind of stretched out and read and finished this up. And then I, of course, wanted to read this little one as well. So this one, let's talk about it first. This is 5 stars for me. I absolutely love this so much. The synopsis is not quite what I was expecting based on the synopsis, because it really led, Marcellus the octopus is going to help, our main character solve this mystery, where it's not quite that. It is, but it's not as well. I didn't realize going in, I had never heard, when people talk about this, they just say they really enjoy it, like, and whatnot, but I had never heard Tova, our main character, is 70 years old. And then Marcellus is also at the end of his lifespan as well. I really liked his viewpoints, because it would be like day, whatever of my captivity, or my sentence is what he would call it. And he knows he's getting towards the end of his life, and he's kind of just ready for it to be over. But then, him and Tova kind of befriend each other, and he learned, she talks to him, and so he does learn. Obviously, he can't talk back, but we do get his viewpoint, and he learns, she lost her son like 30 years ago when her son was 18. So it's a lot about grief and getting older and your importance when you're older, and I love that. And there's also another viewpoint, and I really liked how that tied into the story. So yeah, I had a really great time with this. I loved, the whole mystery element and Marcellus helping solve it. I really enjoyed that, because it doesn't wrap it up like in a nice pretty bow or anything like that. Like, you do get answers. Tova does get answers, but they're a little bit more ambiguous. And so it's not like this perfect answer, but I do like how the ending was and how it worked out. And she kind of has an idea of what happened to her son by the end. And I really, really like that. But yeah, it does a lot with grief, both old and fresh, because her husband has just died. And, losing her son 30 years ago, friendships, and, being older and whether you're a burden or not on those around you and such. So it's a really, really beautiful story. I'm so glad I read it. I was reading the acknowledgments, and she also, in the acknowledgments, references The Soul of an Octopus by Montgomery. So I'm really glad I did read this again in the beginning, because both of The Mountain and the Sea and Remarkably Bright Creatures obviously use that to get facts. And so I liked, and I'm glad I read that first because I had that reference. So love this, 5 stars for sure. And then we have Weird is Beautiful, The Wisdom of Octopuses. And this one, I would say about 3 stars. It's cute, it's fun, she has puns in there, and then she books and changes the names to octopus titles, and songs, and changes those names. There's a little "How Octopus Are You?" the quiz, and I'm a hermit crab. I have a tendency to stay indoors in your carefully chosen shell. With a bit of octopus wisdom, you'll learn how to get curious about the world around you, as well as accepting yourself and all your wonderful weirdness. So it's cute. The humor just wasn't quite my thing. But I think it is really cute, and I really like the first quote. Not the first quote, but the first little part. And it says, "Think like you've got 9 brains, because octopus says their arms, they have neurons in their arms as well," which is really interesting. And so each arm can kind of independently do its own thing without going to the central brain, which is really interesting. So it says, "Think like you've got 9 brains, feel like you've got 3 hearts," which they have 3 hearts, which I did not know going in, "and hug like you've got 8 arms." So that was fun. It did get a little repetitive at times, as far as octopus being able to squeeze into stuff and whatnot. But it's just fun, and it has, little octopus wisdom parts. That's just, it she tells you something about octopus, and then how us as humans, can live a better life based on, how octopus live their lives, basically. So it's really cute. I love the artwork. I think it's so beautiful. There's lots of different ones. There's even a spot where you can color your own kraken, which is fun. But yeah, I think it's really beautiful. There's little quotes from famous people and whatnot. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. There's this little math problem, which I did get it right. I was very proud of myself. And so yeah, it's just a lot of fun, but it's nothing amazing. The humor really wasn't quite my thing in here. Some of the puns were cute, but changing book names to be octopus, or song names or whatever, and octopus aren't big readers because water and books don't get along, but here are some titles they like and things like that. That's just not kind of my thing. I get that might be more entertaining for other people, but I'm there for the facts. You want to throw in a pun here and there, fine, but the rest of it was kind of unnecessary to me. But it is cute, and you do learn about octopuses in a fun way. So it was a fun one to kind of wrap it up with. And so yeah, those are the 4 books. So we started off with The Soul of an Octopus by Montgomery. I gave this one a 3 star. Then we had The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Nayler. I ended up giving this 4 stars, I believe. Really enjoyed it, but it was hard to get into, and the wrap up, it didn't have a very satisfying wrap up. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Love this. I see myself rereading this fairly regularly, honestly, because I absolutely loved it. I like the vibes it gave. I like that we had an older character. And then Weird is Beautiful, The Wisdom of Octopuses, got a 3 star as well. So pretty successful, and I'm glad I was able to wrap this up. I think I should be able to get it edited and uploaded for it to come out tomorrow for me, but when you're seeing this, of course, it will be the day. So I would love to know if you read any of these books, if you're interested in reading any of these books now that I've talked about them, if you have a favorite octopus book that you've read in the past, or any animal in general that you think I might enjoy, because I love reading about animals. I'd love to know that down in the comments. If you just want to let me know you were here and you're supporting the channel by watching and commenting, you can always leave either a rabbit or an octopus emoji or any type of animal down in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.